All right, yep. So what we can see, here first, right, this is your total body weight. So as your moment, your weight is 57.9, okay? But you told me that your goal is not necessarily to lose weight, but to tone and shape, okay? So that is what we're going to do. The first numbers right here, this is your body composition analysis. This is simply what your body is made up of, all right? So we have your lean body mass. This is your muscles, all right? And total body water. The total body water at the moment is 31.8 liters. If we're breaking this down, we're gonna have the intra and the extracellular water, all right? Remembering we talked about this in the presentation. We're having your fat cells, all right? We're having the water inside. That's water that is good for your health. Then when there's inflammation and toxins, this water will relocate outside to protect you and to isolate it. This is what's causing the problem, right? At the moment, you are holding on to 11.9 liters of extracellular fluid, all right? This is, obviously having a lot of weight, but most importantly, in your case, this is what is struggling, when you want to tone and shape, okay? Because there's no calories in water. Doesn't matter how many tricep kickbacks we do, we're not going to be able to tone and shape under the arms because we need to get rid of the water first. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yes. Now, I cannot just look at this number to tell you how long you need to detoxify for. We're all different height, we're different weight, we have different amount of cells. So what I need to look into later is the ratio. How much water do you have in your body collectively, so totally, and how much has relocated outside? That ratio is then going to be able to tell us how long you get to have your program for, okay? Dry lean mass, this is everything except your fat in the body. So this is your muscles, your hair, your nails, your organs, all right? Down here, you have your body fat mass. This is very straightforward. This is literally your fat in kilos. If we're moving down, you have your muscle to fat analysis. This is when it comes into the 3 different body types. So just like you saw on the banner earlier, we have the C, which equals weak. We have the I, which is standard. And then we have D, which is strong. If I draw a line in between these numbers, because you have your total body weight and then what is made up of. So we have the muscles or fat. So if I draw a line in between these numbers, you can see a letter occur. In this case, we have the standard, all right? Most normally for your guest, they will have that their weight is higher, right? Their body fat percentage will be even higher than that, sorry. So the body fat percentage will be higher, their weight will be higher. So this is normally how it looks for the guest. You draw a line and it's gonna be a C. What we want is first the I, and then if the guest, wants to get stronger, we're moving into the D. That's obviously what we want. So when this has happened, this is a clear indication that what we talked about in the seminar is happening. So remember, we have your liver. It breaks down the fat. It converts it into sugar and glucose. And then your muscles uses that for energy. Remember? When your liver starts to get full of toxins, they go back into the lymphatic system, to the lymph nodes, and then they're going to go to the fat cells closest to it. The water will go outside to isolate it, right? So now we can't break down that fat, which means your weight will go up. All right, body fat percentage goes up, energy level goes down. But as we're doing your detoxification, we get rid of the inflammation, the water releases, we can now access these fat cells. So when we're accessing the fat cells, what is going to happen to your body fat? It's going to go down. Your body fat goes down, your weight goes down. When we're increasing your muscles, which we're going to do with your result-based training, that will start to go up, which means we're going to start to move into the I. All right? Below here, you have your obesity analysis, okay? The first thing that you can see here is your BMI. I'm going to cross that out. I do not work with BMI, and I'm going to explain to you why. The BMI takes your height and it takes your weight. That's it, all right? So if someone is short, but they have a lot of muscle, they will still come out as obese, all right, which is incorrect. So I don't just care about the weight. I want to look into what is that weight made up of, all right? That is what actually matters. It's the same as we spoke about earlier, that we don't focus on the number of the scale. That does not define your health, all right? We need to look deeper. Body fat percentage, all right, for females, all right, normally in between 18 and 28. That's where we want to be. That's kind of like the bracket. For men, I would say in between 10 and 20. All right. So you can say to your guests if you want to use the same as in the BCA. So either you can say 10 to 20, and then females you can say from 15 to 25, whatever you want to say, all right, or in between 22 to 25. I prefer to use those numbers that I said. I want you to be in between these brackets for health reasons. So most of the time you will have your guest a lot higher. So then what I'm going to say is we're just going to get this down, but your goal is also to lose the weight. And as you're doing your detox, one of the outcomes of it will be to decrease the fat, all right? That will come with it. So this is not something that I'm worried about. This will happen, okay? We're going to start to reduce it. If we're looking down here, this is your segmental lean analysis, all right? This is your muscles. You can see here, you have kilos and you have percentage. The percentage one I don't focus on with my guests. All we want is for them to be over 100%. If they're below, I want to strengthen them up so they come above that 100%. If I draw a line in between these ones, if I'm drawing a line from the top one that says kilos and down, what I want to see is symmetry. I want you to have an equal amount of muscle and strength, your left arm to your right arm, your right leg to your left leg, all right? And upper to lower body. We want to have symmetry. So for example, if you have, most commonly, right, females are a little bit stronger in the lower body, guys can be a little bit stronger in the upper body, all right? So we just want to make sure that we're evening it out to make sure we're working with alignment. If a guest has, for example, a lot of more muscle in one side compared to the other, that can be for a lot of different things. It could be that there's an old injury. It could be that something is potentially starting to hurt, which means that they're overcompensating to avoid adding weight on that knee, for example. Or it could be that they're doing a movement that requires one side. For example, if you have a tennis player, they're going to be stronger in one arm compared to the other. So we're going to be able to look into the differences. So you can see here in the right arm, we have 2.6 kilos of muscle. In the left arm, 2.20, all right? In this case, right-handed. Sometimes the guest says, but how am I stronger in my left arm if I'm right-handed, right? I'm going to explain this very simply. If you're right-handed, imagine you're going out of your car with your groceries. You're going to walk up to the door. You have to unlock the door with the key. In which arm are you going to hold the groceries? In your left, exactly. Because you need to do the things with your right, which is your dominant. So that way is a very easy way for the left arm to actually get a little bit stronger. However, this is just like a few 100 grams. Do you think that is dangerous? No. All right. It's only if we see like a dramatic difference, like let's say one number is here and one number is there. That is a little bit more difference. Okay. This is, once again, I don't focus a lot on this. This is only if my guest is really interested in their muscle distribution and want to, I don't know if they want to compete or if they really want to work with the symmetry. But this is a great link into the RBT because we're going to help to even it out, but also to ask about injuries, aches and pains, so that we then can plant the seed about the posture analysis that we can do when we see them again for the RBT. Okay, so plant the seed about the good feet. Now, if we move over here, we have your segmental fat analysis. Just for you guys to know as well, here you have your, kind of like the recommendation. You know, on the BCA, we have the target, right? The target lean weight, the target weight, etc. Here you have what the machine has calculated. I don't focus too much on this. I like to do it individually with my guest. and what their goals are. You can see here, for example, body fat mass minus 1.5, lean body mass, it's good. Obviously, we can still increase the lean body mass, that is just good. Segmental fat analysis. So this is the same as the lean analysis, but rather than focusing on the muscles, we're looking at the fat. So we can clearly see here, right? In your right arm and your left arm, you have 0.9. In your legs, you have 2.3. Good thing that is completely even side to side. All right? But remember, where do we have most of the lymph nodes? Midsection. And you can clearly see this here because you see how much higher you have around the trunk compared to your upper and lower body. We're going to look a little bit deeper into this number, all right? Because we have two different types of fat. We have your body fat percentage, but this is also collectively. You have your subcutaneous fat, that is the fat underneath the skin. Then we have the visceral fat. Remember where the visceral fat was?
Organs.
The organs, exactly. This is the fat that is potentially dangerous for you. So down here, we have your visceral fat levels. We spoke about it earlier in the seminar, but they go into kind of like 3 different categories, like green, yellow, and red. Think of a traffic light. 1 to 10, this is balance. However, I want you to be below 5. That's kind of like the golden zone. Okay, 10 to 15. This is a higher risk. Higher risk of blood pressure, cholesterol levels, etc. Then we have 15 to 20. And this goes into the danger zone. The more fat you have around your liver, your heart, your lungs, the harder does it get for them to work. This is when it coming to a higher risk of fatty liver, heart attacks, and strokes. At the moment, you're on a level 5, okay, which is just on that level. But however, you told me that you want to improve your health, you want to work on prevention, you want to get into the best version. So a goal is going to be to get this even lower, to start to get down to 1, 2, and 3, all right? So I'm explaining that to the guests, where they are, where we want to be, and that this is something that will start to happen as we're focusing more on our health, all right? And they've already taken the 1 step to start it, okay? Here you have your basal metabolic rate. This is your metabolism, all right? Normally, for females, they're in between 1,250 to 1,750. That's the brackets where females are. For men, 1,750 to 2,250. Okay, this is just an informative reading. There's nothing right or wrong. This is just what your body is burning when it's resting. At the moment, your metabolism is 1,307, which means it is in the lower bracket. Okay. When someone is in the lower bracket, of course, we're going to explain to them how we can boost it up. All right. We can boost your metabolism up by the trilogy of success. Okay. I like to remind them about this on the back side. So I'm drawing the trilogy. Because as we're doing your program, each of these steps has an important part. Your exercise, you've already committed, we're going to start to work out 3 times a week for at least 30 minutes. We're going to do the nutrition consultation because obviously with the exercise, the more lean body mass we have, so the more lean body mass we have, the more energy it requires to fuel it, okay? Which means metabolism goes up. Nutrition consultation, I will be rebooking for this as a part of your program. This is where I'm going to be able to teach you what types of food to eat, etc. And your liver detoxification. We have the bladderwrack algae that we spoke about earlier. One of the key ingredients is the selenium as well, to make sure your thyroid stays healthy and also boost your metabolism. This is important for you as your goal is to have more energy, start to tone and shape, and the more higher metabolism we have, the more food we can eat, and food is energy, okay? But also as we're starting to detoxify, we remove the fluid, we access the fat cells. What happens to that energy? Goes up. All right, it all works as a synergy. Now we have 1 reading left, all right, the most important one. This is your inflammation reading. You can see here that it says ECW TBW. What this means is that this is your total body water ratio. So extracellular water ratio to total body water. How much water do we have totally, and how much has relocated outside simply because of inflammation. Where we want to be is 0.360. At the moment you are on 0.375. So if we turn this around, we can see here 0.370 right there. Okay, so we're on 0.375. So how long do you get to have your program for? To be able to get 100% of the results? 6 months, exactly, which is the most common and how long it takes to do a proper liver detoxification. All right? So that is how you read the results to the guest. And after this is when we're coming in with the breakdown of the program, okay? So what I now do to my guests is I actually hand them this, and I have a clean piece of paper where I can put down the program, and I tell them, all right, so what I want you to do now, first obviously we ask them if they have any questions, if everything makes sense. I then tell them to have a look at this because I'm going to hold on to this paper overnight. Okay, so I want you to have a look at this reading to see if you're having any questions at the moment. I'm going to hold on to this tonight because I need to see your readings when I'm designing your exercise and nutrition. And then when I see you tomorrow for the nutrition consultation, I will then give you this paper back. Okay, does that sound good? Yes, fantastic. So I'm handing them the paper. All right, this is for different reasons. Number one, they will stay busy meanwhile I'm writing down the different program options. Okay, I also confirm that everything makes sense. I confirm that I'm going to be looking at these numbers, which means I'm going to individualize their exercise and nutrition. And I confirm that I will see them again tomorrow for the nutrition. So I'm talking like they already have the program, all right? So then we're designing our 2 option close. The full program is going to be 6 months. The partial is 3. All right? You can cut the video. Cool. So that is how you're explaining the InBody